Hmm. Okay. Anyway, hi guys and gals. I'll use that phrase you're not supposed to use or drives Jay crazy. Sorry I'm a bit late. I don't know why it is. Always just before we go on a stream, there's always technical issues. So um, if you're wondering where the fuck what was going on, that's what was going on. Jimmy was having fucking problems with his goddamn audio, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. Um, there was no lights buzzing here. Normally, I've got a load of lights to come up, and I've come to the conclusion. Do you know what I think I've done? I didn't have the jack plugged in properly into into the audio input port. So after several reboots and trying to figure shit out, here I am. So I'm way behind. I'm way behind where I should be. I was all set up before the show and everything. So and it's like with all the reboots, it says, "Oh no, man, here we go." So I'm way behind. So not to worry. I'm on my own tonight for a while anyway. I think um, Jay should be here in a while. He didn't say how late he would be, but we can expect him to show up at some stage. So what I'll do at the moment now is I'll just take a quick check in with everybody in the chat. Say hello to whoever is here. So I'll say hi to Tony and Ridiculizer. Hi, Ridiculizer, mate. David, Paula. Hi, Paula. Mascara's in. Hi, Mascara and Spanish. Ron Malcolm. Hi, Ron. And Heath Dwith. Yeah, Heath. I think I pronounced it a little bit better this week, hopefully. Um, 462904. You know what? I love the way that just rolls off the tongue. It's an easy name to remember. 462904. I wonder what that is. It doesn't look like a date of birth. It almost looks like a star time or something. Um, Regina Lamb. Hi, Regina. Welcome back. Thanks for joining in. And Robert, how you doing, Robert? Rob's making burgers. You tart Lola. That's it, Spanish, obviously. Yeah. Um, the Weekend Joker's in. How you doing, Jimmy? Oh, Denny is in. How you doing, Denny? Long time no see. You've been hiding. Or have you been up trying to re-weld the Nord Stream 2 pipelines back together again? I just wonder what's going on there. JJ, how you doing, buddy? And chat has been busy while I've been away. David, how you doing, David? And that's me up to date now. That's up to date in the chat. So tonight we're not streaming on YouTube. For some reason, YouTube has been disconnected from the streaming options on StreamYard. So we're only streaming tonight on Twitter and PooTube. So um, it won't matter to the people on Facebook because they won't know that we're streaming because obviously it didn't get posted there. So um, Jay will probably fix that when he gets back. So anyway, folks, hope your week has been good so far. Mine has been pretty crazy. Just keeping up with all the news has just been a bit. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts out there. What's going on in the world? Very hard to keep up with it all. Very hard to sift through what's real and what's not real. But I think obviously, like the craziest story going around, and it's like It's really like the craziest one is this balloon bullshit, man. I swear to God, it's driving me up the walls. So, well, it's not driving me up the walls. It's like it's the greatest load of bullshit I've ever come across in my life, and everybody is talking about it, including me, right here and right now. And it's kind of important just to take note at the same time that it's a massive distraction. Really is. Like I've been paying attention to all the. I have a load. I have a big list of channels that I do. I don't follow them like closely, like, but I keep them on my radar, right? I'll put it like that. I keep them on my radar because it's always good to check in with them to see what they're covering. Because, and these be what these are channels that like to think of themselves as the new alt media, like, but when in fact they're just a bunch of raving mad nutcases. So it's important to keep up with what the nutcases are keeping track of, because once you figure out what they're covering, then you need to know what you can forget about fucking even looking at, because it's all bullshit, hyperbolic, like balloon, 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 alien, 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 Japanese balloons. They're they're coming. They it could be an EMP weapon, so get your EMP fucking shields and protect your car, protect your fridge, make sure it doesn't get wiped out in an event of an EMP strike, and all this shit, man. It's uh, I've what's really obvious. What's really obvious is all the channels that I had flagged as bullshit artists, con artists, and nutcases is proven has proven that I've made good choices in my decisions to have them all these channels filed in my bullshit artist folder, because they're nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. That like either that, or they're so obsessed with this. Either that, or they're actually being paid by the military to spread bullshit, right? And I mean, this includes the mainstream media. It's like I've never heard so much bullshit in all my life. I think last week I was chatting about this balloon issue, and I, I came to the conclusion that they were basically American balloons. Now, I was listening to the Duran earlier on today. Um, I can't remember. I might be able to get it up here in the background. Um, but basically, and I have the Duran also now in my list of bullshit artists. But I'll try and get the name of the guy who was chatting today, right, with them. And I actually believe him. I really do believe him. Where is he gone? Where's that show gone from? I've got to watch a lot of chess videos today. Sugar. Where is it gone? Where's that Duran show gone? And to get the name of that guy that was on. No. Holy crap, did I watch that many videos today? Holy shit. No, that video doesn't seem to be there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What matters is what he said. Now, he seemed like a fairly genuine chap, and no sort of bullshit, no, none of that, no bullshit out of him. Like, and he was saying that he had two sources that told him that the actual balloons were American weather balloons, right? How you, Sean Hammer? How you, Ron Malcolm? Welcome. So, and this is the conclusion I came to last week as well too, because I had actually read the report that was put out in 2019 from a news service called The Guardian, right? And they were talking in that particular article about the American spy balloons, which they were using to spy on American people. and they had a very, very descriptive. They had a good description of what the balloons looked like. They even had had drawings and stuff of what they looked like. And I tell you, this is exactly what was pictured in the skies above Montana last week, or whenever it was. So, and this guy today confirmed my thoughts exactly on it, that those balloons sound and look like the ones that the Americans were using, right? And a carbon copy of them, like, down to the platforms that were hanging out of them and everything. So there, these balloons that they were using, like, for spying on the American public, like, so why would they need balloons? Like, it's just, why don't they just use the satellites and drones that they, you know? But the difference with the balloons is that the balloons can stay up for a month or two, and they can be sort of like directional, man. They got a good field of view up at that height, like, like you're talking about a field of view of about maybe 400 to 500 miles, maybe. So an ideal sort of like a platform, if you were doing like scanning of the public, like, for following cars, following people, that sort of thing, like, so this whole balloon shit, right? It's not Chinese balloons, it's not UFOs, that's for certain. I know I don't have to fucking tell you guys that, you've all figured this out. But the interesting thing is that they're more than likely American balloons, right? That's the main thing. So, and it's a non-story. It's an absolute non-fucking story, and it's a good indication that, like, when everybody is sort of like looking at the balloons, it's just right. What else is going on? So it turns out that there is quite a bit going on, but we'll get into that like at some stage, But because there's a good few stories I got to cover tonight, and because I'm behind time, I'm just wondering how far behind I am, because I usually have I've got my outliners there. So yeah, I've got my outliners, which is pretty cool. And I must have a little check in on my OBS settings and see that everything is working okay. Um, let's see. See if I get my screen capture thing working and going okay. There we go. That's there it is there. So unfortunately, OBS is not the best at remembering, because the way you set OBS up, like you can set it up to uh, capture certain windows and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it's pretty dismal at sort of like remembering which window to file. It's probably not the fault of OBS. It's probably got to do with like process numbers and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter. So since I had to reboot the computer just before the show, I'm just everything that was set up has been unset basically. So anyway, so that's the walloons out of the way with. So what has been going on? What's the story with the balloons? What are they trying to cover up? Which is the main thing, right? How are you doing, Pete? Um, Well, one sort of obvious choice, or one sort of obvious story, would be the Ohio story, but I don't believe the balloons is to cover up Ohio, because the balloons kicked off before Ohio. So I think the main story, because this is like typical wag the dog stuff, right? This is definitely wag the dog type stuff. And the main story is the story from Cy Hirsch. Uh, that's that's the bombshell story that's not been covered. It's nuts, man. It's getting no traction, and I'm not sure if it's even getting any coverage in Germany. Perhaps our German correspondent might have a little bit more info on what actually is happening in Germany. But as far as I can make out, it's getting very, very little coverage in Germany. Cy Hirsch is getting hammered in Germany for bringing out this particular story. So we'll get into that in a little while, because I went through the his story there earlier on today, and I highlighted most of the key points that I think I could find in it. So um, that's going to be pretty lengthy, and I hope I don't bore you to tears with it. Like so, um, but it's important that we get a picture of it. I mean, look, we did get some, we have a fair idea of what was going on. Like when you approximately who done the fucking job, but how they done it was the filling in those little blanks is the tricky part. How the fuck did they do it? Like in one of the most in one of the areas of the Baltic Seas which has the most sensors and the most surveillance of all areas of all places, like because that's one of the areas where the Russians will be traveling with their U-boats and their ships. So Spanish is saying Hirsch was over the target, unlike the balloons. Yeah, the balloons is nuts, man. I swear to God, like years ago, right? You'd have to go to very, very particular sites to get bullshit like that. And I'm talking about the places like your Godlike Productions, Above Top Secret, all those fucking crazy conspiracy sites. You'd have to go there and get and get those types of stories from there. Like, but the fact that it's the mainstream media are now the conspiracy purveyors. It's terrible. I just feel like I feel lost. It's one of the worst things that has happened out of this whole last 2 years is the fact that, like, now that conspiracy has gone mainstream, I no longer have a fucking home, man, and that's actually the worst thing. The conspiracy theories section of the internet used to be quite respectable, very, very small following and stuff, and now everybody's into it, and it's just like I'm just getting bored with it, like getting so bored that I'm almost leaning back to the mainstream media, but it's, but look, it is what it is. I just feel like our whole conspiracy movement has been infected by scrubs. Fucking scrubs have infected our infected our once legitimate sort of research whole. And that's such a pity. Like it's such a pity. I much liked. I better liked the conspiracy um, news sites better when there was just a small group of us, like the way it should be. Like now, fucking every scrub in the galaxy is talking conspiracy, and like they're bandying the term around. They have no fucking clue at all. Denny is saying, "Don't let them get away with it." What do you mean? Let the scrubs steal our conspiracies? I don't know. I think it's too late. The fucking scrubs have already invaded. If that's what you mean, but I doubt that's what Denny means. I'm pretty sure Denny is talking about the bloody Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Aye, Jenny, yeah. The pipelines, Jimmy. I'm on about the pipelines, you bollocks. Of course, you are on about the pipelines. Jenny doesn't give a fuck about anybody else except Germany, just in case. But so 462904 saying Project Bluebeam. We're back to the balloons again. It's like, can't escape the fucking balloons these days. You know, every poor cunt in America is fucking busy checking up their buttholes to check that a fucking Chinese balloon didn't float up into their anus last time they had a crap. So it's nuts. It's gone so bad. Even the Chinese are starting to report they're shooting down balloons over their airspace. So, but then again, you know, never waste an opportunity to instill a bit of fear into your general population. So the Americans are making good use of it, and all the idiots are all afraid of fucking balloons now. And I guess the Chinese now are going to be the next to be scared of all these balloons coming from America, and thus we go around, and that leaves us in the middle, looking at it all, uh, trying to make sense of why the lunatics are not really in the asylum yet, and I think we should do something about that at some fucking stage. Regina's feeling lost, very lost. Is that because our conspiracy section of the internet has been infected by scrubs? I imagine it probably is. Um, but anyway, if I was to, I think what I should do really is cover a bit of this Cy Hirsch article and run through it. Like, it's quite extensive. Like, I don't know if anybody has had a read of it or not. It's well worth a read because it's very, very revealing in a lot of ways. So, without further ado, let's see if I can get organized first. Where is that? I think what I'll have to do is I'll have to read directly from the. I'll have to read directly from the article because there's bits highlighted there today, which are I highlighted loads of bits from it. Like, but to be honest, there's other bits that I didn't highlight, and they really should be covered as well too. But so that's the article set up. Now let's get OBS on fucking line and see if OBS will play ball with me. So this is the article by Seymour Hersh, or Cy Hirsch, as a lot of people have been calling him. How America took out the Nord Stream pipeline. So the US Navy's Diving and Salvage Center can be found in a location as obscure as its name, down what was once a country lane in rural Panama City, a now booming resort city in the northwest panhandle of Florida, 70 miles south of the Alabama border. The center's complex. Let's see if I can, for anybody who wants to read along, see if I can increase the font size here. So, a drab concrete post-World War II structure that has the look of a vocational high school on the west side of Chicago, a coin-operated laundromat, and a dance school are across what is now a 4-lane road. Now, be aware, Seymour Hersh is a very, very renowned journalist. He done some great articles post the Vietnam War, and a lot of the a lot of the atrocities that were done on behalf of the West in Vietnam, and like he's been at this a long time, so he's fairly he's what you would call an old school investigative journalist. So last June, the Navy divers operating under the cover of a widely publicized midsummer NATO exercise known as Baltops 22 planted a remotely triggered explosive that 3 months later destroyed 3 of the 4 Nord Stream pipelines, according to a source with direct knowledge of the operational planning. And 2 pipelines, which were known collectively as Nord Stream 1, had been providing Germany with much of Western Europe with cheap natural gas for more than a decade. The second pair of pipelines, called Nord Stream 2, had been built but were not yet operational at the time. So I'll just skip on because this is very, very long, but there's parts of it now. I don't want to read too much of the bits that are not unhighlighted here, but so Biden's decision to sabotage the pipelines came after more than 9 months of highly secret backed and forth debate inside Washington's national security community about how to best achieve that goal. For much of that time, the issue was not whether to do the mission, but how to get it done, with no overt clue as to who was responsible. There was a vital bureaucratic reason for relying on the graduates of the center's hardcore diving school in Panama City. The divers were Navy only and not members of American's Special Operations Command, whose overt operations must be reported to Congress and briefed in advance to the Senate and House leadership, the so called Gang of Eight. So, the pipelines ran side by side, 750 miles in the Baltic Sea, two different ports in northeastern Russia near the Estonian border, passing close to the Danish island of Bornholm is where the actual explosion happened before ending in northern Germany. From its earliest days, Nord Stream 1 was seen by Washington as its anti-Russian NATO partners as a threat to Western dominance. The holding company behind it, Nord Stream AG, was incorporated in Switzerland in 2005 in partnership with Gazprom, a publicly traded Russian company producing enormous profits for shareholders, which is dominated by oligarchs known to be in the thrall of Putin. Gazprom controlled 51% of the company. This is interesting, with four European energy firms, one in France, one in Netherlands, two in Germany, sharing the remaining 49% of the stock. I didn't realize that at the time that there was so many European companies involved, but there you go. We have France, Netherlands, Germany, and I think I heard also Austria have some sort of a shareholding in that as well too. But Austria is not mentioned here in this article. So anyway, sharing the remaining 49% of stock and having a right to control downstream sales of the inexpensive natural gas to local distributors in Germany and Western Europe. Gazprom's profits were shared with Russian government, and state gas and oil revenues were estimated in some years to amount as much as 45% of Russia's annual budget. Fairly extensive. Now, let's see. Ted Cruz is popping up here. There were immediate consequences. Senate Republicans, led by Cruz, announced an immediate blockade of all Biden's foreign policy nominees and delayed passage of the annual defense bill for months deep in the fall, which was reported by Politico here. Biden's turnabout. So what they're talking about here is about how Ted Cruz was leading the charge on forcing Biden to take this action against the Nord Stream 2 pipelines, basically, is what they're saying here. And he was blockading all of Biden's foreign policy nominees, basically, to force them into the situation to do something in regards to the Nord Stream pipelines. Ted Cruz, the wonderful Ted Cruz. You'd think he was an angel. So the administration's attention once again was focused on Nord Stream. As long as Europe remained dependent on the pipelines for cheap natural gas, Washington was afraid that countries like Germany would be reluctant to supply Ukraine with money and weapons it needed to defeat Russia. It was at this unsettled moment that Biden authorized Jake Sullivan to bring together an interagency group to come up with a plan. All options were on the table, but only one would emerge. So we go to the planning section of his article. Should I read this? This is not. In December of 2021, 2 months before the first Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine, Jake Sullivan convened a meeting of a newly formed task force, men and women from the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the CIA, and the State and Treasury departments, and asked for recommendations about how to respond to Putin's impending invasion. So, over the next several meetings, the participants debated options for an attack. The Navy proposed using a newly commissioned submarine to assault the pipeline directly. The Air Force discussed dropping bombs with delayed fuses that could be set off remotely. The CIA argued that whatever was done, it would have to be covert. Everyone involved understood the stakes. This is not kiddie stuff, this source said. Now, when we're talking about this source, we're talking about the whistleblower that was gave Hirsch the information. If the attack was traceable to the United States, it's an act of war. which is an interesting point, but more on that later. Over the next few weeks, members of the CIA's working group began to craft a plan for a covert operation that would use deep sea divers to trigger an explosion along the pipeline. Now, this is also, I didn't know this out. Something like this had been done before in 1971. The American intelligence community learned from still undisclosed sources that two important units of the Russian Navy were communicating via an undersea cable buried in the Sea of Okhotsk on Russia's far east coast. The cable linked the regional Navy command to the mainland headquarters in Vladivostok. A hand-picked team of Central Intelligence Agency and National Security Agency operatives were assembled somewhere in the Washington area under deep cover and worked out a plan using Navy divers, modified submarines, and a deep submarine rescue vehicle that succeeded after much trial and error in locating the Russian cable. The divers planted a sophisticated listening device on the cable that successfully intercepted the Russian traffic and recorded it on a taping system. Mad stuff, mad stuff. Uh, the NSA learned that the senior Russian Navy officers, convinced of the security of the communications link, chatted away with their peers without encryption. The recording device and its tape had to be replaced monthly, and the project rolled on merrily for a decade until it was compromised by a 44-year-old civilian, an NSA technician named Ronald Pelton, who was fluent in Russian. Pelton was betrayed by a Russian defector in 1985 and was then sentenced to prison. He just got 5 grand by the Russians for his revelations about the operation, along with 35 grand for other Russian operational data he provided that was never made public. So, the undercover success, codenamed Ivy Bells, was innovative and risky, and produced invaluable intelligence about the Russian Navy's intentions and planning. Right. So anyway, that was the Operation Ivy Bells in 1970. What did they say? 1971. Very interesting. Very interesting. So they're fairly well versed in doing undersea operations by the looks of it. So throughout all of this scheming, now we're moving back to the Nord Stream 2. We've left the Ivy Bells story. So throughout all this scheming, the source said some working guys in the CIA and the State Department were saying, "Don't do this. It's stupid, and will be political nightmare if it comes out." Well, we're at that juncture right now. It's come out, so we'll see. We'll see what political ramifications will come, I suppose, over the coming months. So, nevertheless, in early 2022, the CIA working group reported back to Sullivan's interagency group, "We have a way to blow up the pipelines." So, what came next was stunning. On February the 7th, less than 3 weeks before the seemingly inevitable Russian invasion of Ukraine, Biden met in the White House office with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who, after some wobbling, was now firmly on the American team. At the press briefing that followed, Biden definitely said, "If Russia invades, there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring it to an end." And Newland, I think you've all seen the videos of Newland as well, saying something similar. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward. So Biden and Newland's indiscretion, if that is what it was, he goes on to say, this is Hirschback writing again, might have frustrated some of the planners, but it also created an opportunity. According to the source, some of the senior officials of the CIA determined that blowing up the pipelines no longer could be considered a covert option because the president just announced that we knew how to do it, right? So the plan to blow up Nord Stream 1 and 2 was suddenly downgraded from a covert operation requiring that Congress be informed to one that was deemed as a highly classified intelligence operation with US military support. Under the law, the source explained, there was no longer a legal requirement to report the operation to Congress. All they had to do now is just to do it. But it still had to be a secret. The Russians have superlative surveillance of the Baltic Sea. Um, so the operation itself, uh, Norway was the perfect place to base the mission. So we got Norway here, up to their necks in it as well. Uh, Bear in mind, this could be construed as an act of war. So I've often thought about this, like if America did, or if Germany did decide to rearm, and it looks like they are, would they go to war in Europe, and who would they attack? I tell you what, Norway will be prime candidate now in my thinking right now. But anyway, I don't want to divert from Sai's article. In the past few years of East-West crisis, the US military has vastly expanded its presence inside Norway, whose western border runs 1,400 miles along the North Atlantic Ocean and merges above the Arctic Circle with Russia. The Pentagon has created high paying jobs and contracts amid some local controversy by investing hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade and expand American Navy and Air Force facilities in Norway. The new works include, most importantly, an advanced synthetic aperture radar far up north that was capable of penetrating deep into Russia and came online just as the American intelligence community lost access to a series of long range listening sites inside China. Shit, I didn't see that earlier on. Inside China, right? Very good. Oh God, they get around those Americans. Norway was one of the original signatories of the NATO treaty in 1949 and in the early days of the Cold War. Today, the Supreme Commander of NATO is Jens Stoltenberg, of course, a committed anti communist who served as Norway's Prime Minister for 8 years before moving to its high NATO post with American backing in 2014. Now, that gets me. So like Jens Stoltenberg, like I thought like Europe had gone full communist. So Jens Stoltenberg is anti-communist. I don't get that. But anyway, who knows? Maybe in a few years it'll all make a bit of sense. Back in Washington, planners knew they had to go to Norway. They hated the Russians, and the Norwegian Navy was full of superb sailors and divers who had generations of experience in highly profitable deep sea oil and gas exploration, the source said. They also could be trusted to keep the mission secret. The Norwegians may have had other interests as well. The destruction of Nord Stream, if the Americans could pull it off, would allow Norway to sell vastly more of its own natural gas to Europe. Sometime in March, a few members of the team flew to Norway to meet with the Norwegian Secret Service and Navy. One of the key questions was where exactly in the Baltic Sea was the best place to plant the explosives. Nord Stream 1 and 2, each with two sets of pipelines, were separated much of the way by little more than a mile as they made their run to the port of Greifswald in the far northeast of Germany. The Norwegian army was quick to find the right spot in the shallow waters of the Baltic Sea, a few miles off Denmark's Bornholm Island. The pipelines ran more than a mile apart along the sea floor that was only 260 foot deep. That would be well within the range of the divers who were operating from a Norwegian Alta-class mine hunter would dive with a mixture of oxygen, nitrogen, and helium streaming from their tanks and plant shaped C4 charges on the four pipelines with concrete protective covers. It would be a tedious, time-consuming and dangerous work, but the waters off Bornholm had other advantage. There was no major tidal currents, which would have made the task of diving much more difficult. Um, so here we get a kind of an indicator as to where this is all situated. You got Germany down here, Denmark up here, and there's Bornholm. It's very, very close to Sweden by the looks of it. And anyway, so The Norwegians and the Americans had a location and the operatives, but there was another concern. Any unusual underwater activity in the waters off Bornholm might draw attention of the Swedish or Danish navies, which could report it. Denmark had also been one of the original NATO signatories and was known in the intelligence community for its special ties to the United Kingdom. Sweden had applied for membership in NATO and had demonstrated its great skill in managing its underwater sound and magnetic sensor system that successfully tracked Russian submarines that would occasionally show up in remote waters off the Swedish archipelago and be forced to the surface. Yeah, so I've heard a lot about these underwater systems and sensors, and it sounds like it's pretty well decked out, like with sensors. Not much goes through the Baltics without being noticed. The Norwegians also had also had a solution to the crucial question of when the operation should take place. Every June for the past 21 years, the American Sixth Fleet, whose flagship is based in Gaeta, Gaeta, Italy, south of Rome, has sponsored a major NATO exercise in the Baltic Sea involving scores of allied ships throughout the region. The current exercise held in June would be known as Baltic Operations 22 or Baltops 22. The Norwegians proposed this would be the ideal cover to plant the mines. The Americans provided one vital element. They convinced the Sixth Fleet planners to add a research and development exercise to the program. The exercise, as made public by the Navy, involved the Sixth Fleet in collaboration with the Navy's research and warfare centres. The at sea event would be held off the coast of Bornholm Island and involve NATO teams of divers planting mines with competing teams using the latest underwater technology to find and destroy them. It was it was both a useful exercise and an ingenious cover. The Panama City boys would do their thing, and the C4 explosives would be in place by the end of Baltrops 22, with a 48-hour timer attached. All of the Americans and Norwegians would be long gone by the first explosion. So the days were counting down, the clock was ticking, and they were nearing mission accomplished, the source said. And then Washington had second thoughts. The bomb would still be planted during Baltops, but the White House worried that a 2 day window for the detonation would be too close to the end of the exercise and it would be obvious that America had been involved, right? So instead, the White House had a new request. Can the guys in the field come up with some way to blow the pipeline later on command? Some members of the planning team were angered and frustrated by the president's seemingly indecision. The Panama City divers had repeatedly practiced planting the C4 on pipelines, and as they would during Baltops, but now the team in Norway had to come up with a way to give Biden what he wanted, the ability to issue a successful execution order at a time of his choosing. Being tasked with this arbitrary last minute change was something the CIA was accustomed to managing, but it also renewed the concerns some shared over the necessity and legality of the entire operation. Oh man! So I'll move on a bit because it is quite, but we are getting close. We are getting close to the end now. So in unpublished closed door testimony, Holmes ruefully explained that you often have an immaculate conception when you do something under secret orders from a president. Whether it's right that you should have it or wrong that you shall have it. The CIA works under different rules and ground rules than any other part of the government. He was essentially telling the senators that he, as the head of the CIA, understood that he had been working for the crown and not the Constitution. I, that was I found that so revealing. Like it says a lot about the workings of the internals in America, at the federal side of it anyway, that he had been working for the crown and not the Constitution. So, if you ever wondered who runs America, there you go. the crown is never too far away. The Americans who work in Norway operated under some dynamic and dutifully began working on the new problem how to remotely detonate the C4 explosives on Biden's orders. It was a much more demanding assignment than those in Washington understood. There was no way for the team in Norway to know when the president might push the button. Would it be in a few weeks, in many months, or in half a year, or longer? So the C4 attached to the pipelines would be triggered by a sonar buoy dropped by a plane on short notice, but the procedure involved the most advanced signal processing technology. Once in place, the delayed timing devices attached to any of the four pipelines could be accidentally triggered by the complex mix of ocean background noise throughout the heavily trafficked Baltic Seas, from near and distant ships, underwater drilling, seismic events, waves, and even sea creatures. To avoid this, the sonar buoy, once in place, would emit a sequence of unique low frequency tonal sounds, much like those emitted by a flute or a piano, that would be recognized by the timing device and after a preset hours of delay triggered an explosive. I'll put a pause on there because I think I hear something going on in the background. Has our has our main man arrived back? Just let me check out. Hey, you Jay.
How are you doing?
All good, mate. All good. Just running through something that's not balloony.
All
You're on the
right,
right
okay.
side.
Yeah, look, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like, the thing is, I fucking anybody. By the way, hello everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. It's just been a fucking ball ache today, a complete fucking ball ache from start to finish. So I'll not go into it. But anyway, uh, yeah, this all this UFO stuff. Honestly, you go on Twitter. I went on Facebook. I deleted my Facebook account yesterday. I got a warning on Facebook, and I just thought, I'm not going to be one of them that's like, oh, look at me, I've got a Facebook jail. Or I've just deleted it. I've got rid of it. So if you watch it on Facebook at the moment, you can't, or you might. Did it
They
come up on
can't.
thing?
They can't watch it because I couldn't connect to it, Jay. So,
That's it. Yeah, there you go.
um,
It's gone. It's all gone. It's all deleted anyway. So, uh, yeah. So I've got rid of that shit. But you see, we've got these UFOs, and everybody, because we've got a lot of new people that have just, who have just in the last few years, because of certain things that have been going on, that are now looking at things from a different angle, and they've been given. It's like being amongst a load of toddlers. You know what I mean? The Project Bluebeam, we've seen that it's 2012 Olympics for a famous example was supposed. That's when it were even in papers. When Ian Crane, I was probably looking up at us now and laughing. When Ian Crane said it were in the Sun that there were going to be an alien invasion on the in 2012 at the Olympics. You've only got to look back. These cycles repeat themselves, and these people, of course, didn't really see that at time and didn't make anything of it. But the amount of times I've seen Project Bluebeam about to be blown wide open, there's been so many fucking times, and it just keeps fucking getting. It just keeps getting worse and worse. It just keeps getting worse and worse. So, having a look on, going on Twitter, it's just a cesspit. It's a cesspit, man.
shut
An
up.
absolute cesspit. And I don't know whether I'm not blaming what's his face, whoever everybody blames, but Elon. He bought it, can do what he wants with it, really. So, but it's just a cesspool of
It's a
just
weapon.
nonsense.
It's a weapon.
Yeah, it's a cesspool of what? Yes, it's like throwing shit at someone. That's what it is.
How are you,
So,
Steve? Welcome back, Steve. And was welcome back.
Steve Moss show. Good evening. Are they still going about it?
Yeah, well, must be. He's here in the chat anyway. So, yeah, I was just running through the real story, the story behind the balloons. That's what I was going through there. Just as you were arriving there, I was almost through the whole story there, basically. But Um,
What do you think it is then? The base. What is it they're trying to hide? Is it the? I mean, there's plenty of
it's
things to choose
the
from.
Nord Stream pipeline explosion. That's what they're trying to get ahead of here.
Right.
This is big, man. This is absolutely big. I'll tell you what. Germany, if they decide they could go to war over this, if they, well, we'll see how this pans out because um, I often wondered if Germany would go to war with France. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't rule out Germany going to war with Norway after what they've done there because the Norwegians were up to their neck in it. This is major. This is massive, and it was all done behind closed doors, behind Congress's back, as a covert secret secret mission, like ordered by Biden, Newland, Blinken. They're all up to their necks in it, like, and it didn't have Congress approval, basically. So it's absolutely it's the story of the century. It's bigger than fucking Watergate.
Yeah.
It's a
Well, that's what you think that's the main. I mean, there's a load of things that they need covered up. The Epstein files are all coming out as well, aren't they? I mean,
that's right. I've
they're all
seen
due
that.
out.
Like, yeah.
There's this thing that's going on in Ohio. I don't know exactly what that is in East Palestine that's been
Uh,
going on for a while. But it just so happens that if anybody now does a search on Palestine, it's going to come up East Palestine in Ohio, and we're not going to see what's going on in the real Palestine because that is really what's the big fucking story is. That's what I think is what's being hidden. Is what's going on in between Israel and well, all of it really. The Nord Stream. It's just the whole thing's crumbling. It's got to be crumbling. It has
Israel
to
is
be
blowing
crumbling.
up, man. Israel
Mm.
is absolutely blowing up.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
going to break out in civil war there, and I'm not talking about between the Palestinians and the.
No,
I,
in the Israelis.
the
Yeah.
Israelis are, the Jewish people are rising up now against the fucking Israeli government, and I think it's a thing of beauty to see. It's I just wonder how far it's going to go. They could crack down hard on them, like, but obviously, like, there's a lot of damage done to those people there, like, over the last 2 years with walkies and stuff, man. They're the most vaccinated in the world, man, and
Mm.
God knows what the actual damage, how much damage has been done to those people, because, like, the data is very, very clear now about what's going on with these walkies, man.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's
well,
not good.
everyone's clear about that. Let's just not fucking even touch on it because you know what it's like.
Yeah,
Everyone's clear on that. All we can do really is talk about the, things that have happened in the last couple of years have really woke, made more people aware and more people prepared to look. But yeah, like you say, they're the most they're massively 5 or 6, weren't they? They were being told
yeah,
to have 5 or 6, and
yeah,
some of them
yeah.
were. Um, so it's all smoke and mirrors, and you've just got to look beyond the smoke and mirrors. What do they want you to see? What's all over the news? Well, there's balloons all over the news. There's people saying the balloons. There's people saying they're unidentified flying objects. Then there's an article from 2019 where the Pentagon said that they were experimenting with flying balloons over the United States in drug enforcement,
Yeah,
some sort of
yeah,
drug enforcement. So the stories like that, they've been talking about doing this. So again, that's not the main story, is it? That's not the real thing. These have just
no,
been put up here, and now they're shooting them down because it's they'll know where they are. All they're going to do is like deflate one or two of them so that it lowers its altitude. People spot it, and then they go in with a plane. Boom! Yeah, look at that. We've just put 45 million, a $3 million missile to blow up a 20 pence balloon.
it's nuts. Yeah, well, I was telling everyone. I don't know. Maybe everybody wasn't in the chat at the time when I opened the show. I was late opening the show, by the way. There was something wrong with my audio, and I think it was a stupid. I think I didn't have the jack plugged in all the way. But anyway, that's another story. But
Okay.
I was telling them, like, how I was listening to a show on the Duran today, and I can't remember the chap's name. A black man. He was covering Cy Hirsch's story anyway, and that was part of what it was covering. And the story of the balloons came up, right? And it confirmed what I was thinking last week, that there were American balloons. Those balloons, he was saying at least two of the balloons have been identified as being American weather balloons. At least two of them. So they were American balloons. And it was obvious from the fucking start. You know, you've obviously read the article from 2019 in the Guardian about like the about the spy balloons that the Americans were working on, and and the balloons that were spotted in the sky over Montana, they matched, man. They matched the description, and there was I think there was even artist renditions of what they looked like in that Guardian article. They were picture perfect. They had to be the same, you know. They had to be
Yeah.
American balloons, you know.
Yeah, bound to be. But it's easy to then say, "Oh, it's Russia or China," and Russia and China know what score is. It's just that I don't fucking know. They know that Putin, whatever Putin says, is not going to be represented accurately over in the West, is it? So, or what whoever leader it's Chinese Communist Party is. But yeah, these we've got boogeymen everywhere. Yeah,
Well, that's a two-way street, you know, and same in Russia. You won't get like I
Yeah,
don't.
of course, yeah.
I'm gone that I don't trust any side, because we had Stoltenberg came out there yesterday it was, and he was talking about like how Russia attacked itself in Donbass, and this is something that has been bothering me since this whole last few months about who really did start the war in Donbass. And I've been thinking, like, is it outside the realm of possibility that Russia organized an attack against itself? I would not rule it out either. I really would not rule this out, and that's why I don't want to take sides until the fog clears a bit. You know, my heart goes out to the people of Donbass, and really, like, they're stuck in the middle of this shit. But is it beyond the realm of possibility that Russia could have organized this against itself? They've done this shit before.
Yeah. Just look, if we can do it, they can do it. You know, if our side can do it, their side can do it. Any side can do it. They're all at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy, man.
The
It's
intrigue,
what a
man.
time to
The
be
intrigue
alive.
is amazing.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's like, but it's just like the mainstream media has just become godlike productions overnight, man. I don't. Did you ever go to? Did you ever visit godlike productions?
Do you know? I can't. I do remember the name, but I can't remember who were behind it. Who were it that were behind that?
Trinity.
Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity, and there's a load of conspiracy theories about him too, and about his connections to the feds. Like,
Well, you pick a
definitely
name. Pick any name out of anybody who's on. Who's got a following, a big following, and there's always people that are going to be saying that he's got connections to this or he's got connections to that. It's everybody. You just don't know where. You don't know where to look. You just don't know where to look for anything that resembles truth. Because it's
I'm
just
going back to the mainstream media. I'm going back to the mainstream media more and more. It says, because one thing's for sure, all the alternative media just seem to have become bullshit just in the last year.
Well,
Since the
here's
Russian war.
something that I spotted on. I think I was flicking through, news channels, and if you watch some of these news channels that are pretty like bad production qualities and stuff like, I think there's what I think were Arise News, but it was there where I saw an headline that said Google is going to extend its pre-bunking program. It's pre-bunking program for
Yeah.
I posted it in the
Yeah.
Telegram, and no, I don't know. I've never heard of that before, and I thought that would have been something that I'd have heard of, like pre-bunking. So not debunking. Now you're not waiting until until what the conspiracy theories are. What you're doing is when something happens, you then predict the conspiracy theories that are going to be surrounding that, and you pre-bunk those conspiracy theories. which is amazing. I mean, AI can do anything, can't it? Can see into the future, can see anywhere. I've never heard of that. Anybody else heard of that? I've not heard it. I don't know about you, Jim.
No, but I read that article that you posted. Well, I didn't read it all, but I read about half of it. So I got the general gist of what they were hinting at, like, you know, the idea being that, like, their goal is to give people the tools to be able to discern what's real and what's not real. I can't wait to see their follow on. I can't wait to see how they're going to teach people, like, how to discern what's real and what's not real, because I have my own very, very clear ideas, because, you know, I learned from a pretty good journalist how to do some basic research and stuff like that. So I'm very, very curious the tools that they're going to give ordinary people to be able to tell what's real and what's not real, or, you know, what sort of journalistic skills they're going to attempt to impart upon them. You know, it should be great, actually. It'd be probably show worthy.
Yeah, Steel Wars show. There we go. Jason, why watch? You must want to get wound up. I don't get wound up. I don't know what your problem. What I don't know why you think I'm wound up now, because I've got a separate problem that I've had with the council and like with my garden that I've just spent a fortune on. So it's not. I'm not wound up because of that. I'm just saying this. I'm just wound up at the moment because today that's what I've been dealing with. So that's why I'm a bit wound up. So I don't watch it to get wound up. It makes me laugh more than anything else. So cheers for that. Anyway, you're in Steel Wars show. Tell us what time you're on, and we'll tune in and see if you got any better. Tools for sheep. Yes, there you go.
I'll be back in just a moment, Jay. I'll give you a chance just to get reacquainted with the scenery.
Okay, all right then, mate. Go on, and he's just off. There you go. His first few cans that he's had.
I'm just going to go, as we say here in Ireland, I'm going to go and strain the spuds.
Yeah. Anyway, that's probably it. You'll be watering your spuds in yours.
Yeah.
Your spuds empty. All right, mate. I'll say hello to some people in chat room. Good evening too. Let's have a look who's in here. Ron Malcolm. Good evening, Ron. Not seen you for ages. Nice to see you, my friend. Jerry, son of Mick. Regina, I am. Dinny as well. Good evening, Dinny. How you doing, mate? Not seen you around. Not seen you around. I could tell you a little story about last night, and I tried to pull off a little bit of a cool last night, but it didn't quite work. I didn't pull it off quite as. I would try to get Dinny to think that I couldn't see him when in someone else's chat, but it didn't quite come off. I may put like what I recorded together, but it didn't quite come off. But we're just trying to wind him up, you know, because that's what I am. Yeah, you never know what's real. Who's behind the camera? Who's the cameraman? How do you know what he wants you to see? Good evening, Sean Hamer, and Spanish Chicken as well. Good evening, Spanish. JJ, good evening to you, JJ. And Doc Roberts, not Dr. Robert. Good evening, mate. And are you going to have a show tomorrow night? Let us know if you are. It'll give something that's not suicidal to listen to. Regina, I am. Good evening to you, and I think that is everybody. David David as well. Good evening, and 46204. They already elected him. I don't know what you've been talking about all night, so I'll just. I was just thinking about something yesterday, and I get into these things, and I never have a piece of paper, but I did write this down. And I thought to myself, right, so you've got people, like trans people. Let's call them trans people. These people that are blokes that like put some lipstick on, some eyeshadow, and like long hair and all that sort of thing. How do they line up with singing? Because one of the big anthems for the LGBTQ, blah, blah, whatever, plus people is "I am what I am." Now, clearly, if you're trans, you're not I am what you am. Oh yeah, you're not am it at all. You're not. You're trying, in fact, to not be it. You're trying to convince the world that you are not what you obviously are from your appearance and your characteristics and your build and everything else, and all the testosterone and sweat coming out here. So how do they do that? Do they sing "I am what I am"? Well, actually, no, and that's an offensive song to sing because I'm not what I am. I am not. You see how it just goes round and round in circles until everybody is so confused. Yeah. Evening, Eve. Good evening, mate. I not heard from you for a bit. He's usually Foot Magic, not since Australian Open. I think we were like talking most of the time then when we were watching it. So, yeah. So, evening, Eve. Black Dahlia as well to you. Them, they are what they them. There you go. That's it. It's so fucking. It's so confusing. Jimmy, what do you think to this? Here he is back. Jimmy's back. Look at him. Look how distinguished he looks with that beard. He looks a bit George Clooney-esque, or you know, some other.
I'm starting to look like Cookie.
But what about if you're a trans and you're singing that the anthem "I am what I am"? How does a trans person fit in with that? Because if they're saying "I am what I am," then you go, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. You are what you are, which is a bloke dressed up in a woman's clothes. It's the same as you see. This is the difference, right? If you're gay, right, you're gay. That's it. As far as I can, what people have told me, there's nothing you can do about it. You're gay, and that's that, right? So you are what you are. You are gay. But if you're trans, you're not what you are you? You're dressing up as a woman. You're not actually a woman. There is something you can do about it. You don't have to dress up. You can dress up like that as you want, do as you want, but don't expect me to be drawn into it. It's like it's throwing something onto you. It's like saying, if a trans woman says, a trans woman or man says, I'm a real woman, like a bloke puts a dress on, decides, right, I'm going to have my knackers chopped off. I'm wearing a pair of balloons until I've got some, estrogen in me and stuff, and I'm going to turn into a woman, right? It's the same as you're never going to be that, are you? It's like you're putting it on, you're wearing it. Like I was saying to my missus, if you look at it, the same logic, there are two really good F1 drivers that live in this house. Because me and my missus, we play Xbox and we're pretty good on Xbox. It's when the way we spend time together. So we play F1 on Xbox and we race each other. We just bought it so we can spend time together and we're doing something together. And so I could say we've got two excellent F1 drivers that live in our house. But I am really. It's just something that we're pretending to do. And that's exactly what a trans person is. So they are pretending to do that. It's not something that's ingrained into them. And that I'm in the wrong body. You've got it, but we're pandering to it. Go on. How are you doing anyway? How were the old taters? Were they all nicely warm?
Oh yeah. They're half cooked now. They're half cooked. But yeah, look, I don't give a fuck about trannies, man. To be honest, consenting adults could do anything they fucking like. They can call themselves Swiss fucking cheese for all I give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. What I do give a fuck about is infecting children with a fucking virus like that before their time, and I do give a fuck about that. Whatever you want to do as an adult, as a consenting adult, go for it. Like, leave the kids alone. You got like government agencies, NGOs pushing this shit on children, like your Tavistock institution there, and what they've been doing to kids. It's wrong. Like, and we've had loads and loads of Irish kids who've been affected by that institution there that's in England, which was shut down there not too long ago and given orders to shut down. So the damage that they're doing to children is just, it's very reprehensible, I can't condone that at all. But adults, I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't care if you stick a Coke bottle up your fucking arse and do what you fucking like, man. Don't annoy me.
Or even one of them. One of them. I knew somebody had a fetish with one of them. One of them things that, like a whisker.
A whisker.
They had They had a fetish for a whisker. I don't know how they used
I'm
it.
not even going to ask what they were doing with it.
Bearded lady. I've seen pics at the circus. Don't like trans going into ladies' bogs. Yeah, there's that as well. Thank you very much for that. 4620904. Come in, please. Your time is up. I don't
What do you
want
think the
women in men's
significance?
toilets. Full stop, says Danilo. No, you know, if it's, it shouldn't be men in women's bogs and women in men's bogs. It just seems perverse. It's, I know they do it in France, but fucking hell, they're just fucking weird, aren't they, French?
And in Belgium, and to be honest, I got used to it. Like, and it's not like you have to fucking slap the lad out in front of the lassies or anything like
Oh,
that.
no,
Like,
no. But
it's not like
you
that.
can do
It's
though if you want to.
yeah, and those Bolshe women don't mind in Belgium, like they don't mind.
No, it's all about what you're used to, isn't it? And in this country, we don't like it. Particularly, I won't be very pleased if there were someone following my young daughter into women's toilets, into girls' toilets. I won't be pleased at all. There'd be two blokes in there, and
Yeah,
I'd be one would be on his way out. So
Now, granted, the unisex toilets in Belgium, like they're not something that you see everywhere. It's like but like most of the pubs would be like that. Most of the cafes were like that, and if you had spent much time in Belgium, you'd understand. Like a lot of the cafes and stuff are quite small, space is short. Like space is tight. Like so there's not that much room really. So like there's a lot of these places, there is generally only enough room for one lavatory and stuff like that. So and they're generally unisex and stuff like that. But that's okay with adults, and they're generally safe enough. Like I've never seen any issues in the lavatories there at all, none at all, and it was something that I wasn't used to, and to be honest, like it was quite. There wasn't anything perverse about it, but you wouldn't see children there, you wouldn't see children in cafes and places like that. So, um,
yeah, I mean,
if it's done responsibly, I think it's okay. If it's done responsibly, but like what's going on in America, like where you got like trannies walking in and parading up and down like with their dick out in girls' changing rooms where there's children about, it says, come on, there's no need for that. Like have we have we lost all sense of reason and sanity? It's just wrong. That it's like it's just wrong. Fucking hell, it's wrong.
of course it is. It is all wrong, but it seems that what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. Try a different style frock, says Paula. And you see, I sometimes feel uncomfortable in a shorter frock. So I'm not going to try a different style frock. You know how much frocks cost as well? They're dead expensive.
Come here, you might know what's going on with Man City. I picked up on a story there about a week ago about Man City, and they are in serious trouble for violations of something or other regarding the signing of
Financial
players,
fair
isn't it?
play.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
What's
there's
the
been an
name?
investigation for years about Man City. Man City are owned essentially by the Qatari state. Is it Qatar? Is it? Yeah, it is Qatar, isn't it? Oh no, it's Emirates. So it'd be Abu Dhabi. Anyway, they're basically owned, and they've got so much money, and what they've been doing is they're only allowed to work within the parameters of the money they generate. So they're only allowed a certain amount of loss every year. So you can't just pump money in, because that's what we're happening. That's what happened with Chelsea when Abramovich came along, and he pumped loads, billions into millions into hundreds of millions into Chelsea, and won the title and everything. And same thing with Man City. But what Man City have been doing is they've been generating like sort of dummy revenue, so they've been inflating. So the company that they're sponsoring, one of the companies that's under the same, flagship, will sponsor Man City, and they'll inflate the price that they've received, even though it's from really in-house. It's the same. They're owned by the same company. So they've been doing that, and they've about 100 charges, but it's been going on for years. It's been going on for years and years. But there's talk of stripping them of titles and having them relegated, and even they might. It'd be fun if they relegated them right down to like they did with Rangers,
third
right
division.
down to 2. It'd be fun to see what would happen and the ramifications of that. But yeah, it's a weird situation. It's a weird situation.
What's the likelihood that they could face relegation to the third division?
Not very likely. They might get relegated from Premier League, but I think even that's unlikely. Having all the things took off them, all the toys took off them, I don't know if that's going to happen again. I think it's unlikely, because what do you do then? I mean, what do you do with the record books? But I suppose
that'd be farcical, wouldn't it? Like, it turns out that Liverpool actually won that league 2 years ago. I just hold on. No, that can't see how that would work, man. It's like,
no, I mean, you can't, can you? I mean, there's no celebration. It's not really an achievement, and if you don't get celebrated, what's the point in the achievement anyway? So there's no point in celebrating in winning league in 2019 when it's 2023 or where. This goes back a long way. I mean, quite a long way. This investigations were going on for a long time. And there's over 100 charges that have just been. There were rumours that they were sort of like 115 before, but now they're actual charges, and they've been charged with over 100 breaches of financial fair play. And yeah, it looks like I mean, what do you do with them? Do you relegate them? Do you kick them out of Champions League? I mean, it's same thing happened with Wednesday. We got relegated last year. I'm sorry, it took 2 years ago, because we got deducted 9 points for financial fair play. We got deducted 9 points. That got us relegated. So, if they, at the time, I remember saying, instead of deducting us 9 points, just do what they would do with the Premier League team and just ban us from Champions League for 5 years. I mean, chances of getting to Champions League are zero. So, it's not really a punishment, but I was saying it in jest anyway. But it were quite it's exactly. Pro sport is rigged. It is, a lot of it is rigged. A lot of it is rigged, and you've only got to look at what's been happening with VAR, that sort of thing. And Super Bowl, I think there was some. I watched 3 quarters at Super Bowl and missed final quarter. I just was that knackered. I went to bed.
Super Bowl. That's American, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't get that game at all, man. I don't get that game at all, man.
See, I don't mind it. I wouldn't go out of my way, but I don't mind it. And so we're on, and it's a distraction. Yeah, it's a distraction. But it distracts everyone else away from finding truth out. But it distracts me away from the truth, because I know what's going on. So it distracts me away. So it is a welcome distraction. And I think everybody should have a distraction, no matter what. I mean, look at me. I've just broken another. This is my new 3x3. So that 3x3, Mueller's 3x3 has gone into retirement thing. Real distractions, just stuff you can do. And it's all Super Bowl.
I see that Damar Hamlin case story has popped up on the radar yet again. Did you hear that? What's come out about him? He's the Buffalo Bills player who dropped on the pitch there.
I've seen there were an interview with him, weren't they? Someone did an interview with him. I've seen a bit of it, but I haven't seen it all.
Yeah, and basically he was asked about to comment on what may have caused his heart to stop, and he responded, "That's something I want to stay away from," Hamlin said, right? So basically, no, I'm not going there. It's like, holy shit. He's not talking about it, man. And obviously, like the impression I get that he's been leaned on to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, he will have been, won't he?
Mm.
He will
Yeah,
have
anyway,
been.
so much for all the conspiracy theorists that were going around saying that he was dead. You know, they had him
No,
written
you
off.
don't know, do you? I mean, look at AI. You don't know whether he's dead or not unless you've seen him in flesh.
Well, I
AI and all
suppose that's
that sort of shit.
yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, because I've been looking at some people have been posting like videos and stuff of stuff they got some of these chat AIs to put out there. Some of them are very realistic, like, and you can add your own voice. You could put somebody up, like I could get a video of you and add my voice to you as you're talking, like, and so it's like it's kind of nuts where this is going, like. But anyway, yeah.
It is. Yeah. The it's football is played with feet, rugby is played with hand. Look, I know this is bread and circuses. I know it. That's why I know. But I know that it's bread and circuses. That's why I don't take me. Like, I don't go mad over it. It's just bread and circuses. So, at least I know it's bread and circuses, and not like the other people that really do get into it and end up fighting and all sorts of shit about it. I just don't. I don't get that. I don't get it at all. But then again, that's it. We're just fighting all the time each other, aren't we? And that's what's being pushed. I see it all the time. Videos of people fighting that people have took. It's fighting and the videos, and they just seem to be popping up everywhere because I'm sure they're just trying to wind people up and get people fighting. As Steer Wars would say, don't watch it. I can't do an impression of them. I've never listened, to be fair. I only listened once or something, so I don't really know what they talk like. They would talk like Wigan, weren't they? Who's doing a gig on 30th of April, so support him, get along there. You'll find it on all his stuff. All this stuff. Well, yeah, he's doing a gig on 30th of April, comedy gig. Triumphant return to comedy. Wigan Joker. Jimmy
Interesting. Live stage event, is it?
Yes, it's a live. Yeah, it's a live stand-up event. Yeah. So.
Oh, good luck, Jimmy. Break a leg, as they say in the showbiz game.
Showbiz. Fucking showbiz. Jesus, that was a fucking. That. Can you imagine being Sam Smith and walking around in fucking balloons? See that balloon they were fucking wearing?
Oh man. Yeah, obviously, like
fucking chronic.
Obviously, he must think he's the fucking coolest fucking muck.
Nobody dresses himself like that, Jimmy. Yeah. Nobody dresses themselves like that. Someone's done it for it. Someone's done it. He's just being told to go and sing. He's probably off his tits on God knows what. You see him walking, staggering across in his fucking Mr. Blobby fucking suit, and then fucking
all I seen was the picture, and I said that was enough. I didn't watch a video now or anything, but I seen the pictures, and it says, "Fucking hell, man, get a fucking brain."
It's a
but if you look at all the stuff that's paraded down the catwalks these days, man, it's just that's fashion, is it? Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. You got people fucking. I don't know. They must be on LSD or something when they're making these costumes up, or I don't know. There's something fucking not right with these people, and it's not something I pay close attention to. Like, but I have seen a few fashion shows, videos of them, like, and the shit that they wear is like, come on, get a fuck, give me a break, man. Do people pay to go? People probably buy that shit. People probably do buy that shit. Like, people are gullible.
Are you sure? Fucking
anyway, I seen Harp coming up on the radar. Have you noticed Harp coming on your radar as well too?
Well, I noticed it because a very good show that I sometimes listen to had it on their picture on their thumbnail today. So I spotted it. Yeah. And Harp's been around for donkey's years, hasn't it? I mean, I remember Harp from like 2003, 2002.
That's exactly where it goes back to.
This is what I mean about we're doing the fucking rounds, aren't we? Again, we're doing round and round and round. We're fucking back to HARP, Project Bluebeam, fucking, then it's this, and then it's that, and then it's back to fucking, false flag terrorism, and then it's fucking back to war, and it's like a perpetual circle that we're in. I see it. It's just, I see people and I think to myself, I just want to say, right, like, when people say, "Oh, the last 2 years, 3 years," and I think to myself, where do you get your? And I want to post as well. Wait till you get to 20 years, 21 years, 22 years, when there's nothing is new to you. It's all just what you spoke about in past, years ago, and it all just happens. No new. You see it.
Yeah, well, the reason why it's popped up in my I wouldn't have mentioned it, because there's been rumors about this earthquake that happened in Turkey, as I should properly pronounce it, because Erdogan wants to go back to the old pronunciation of Turkey. And did you see that statement, that verbal statement that came out there from that lawmaker in Romania, that woman lawmaker, and she comes out and she directly mentions how she didn't say HARP, but she was talking about like this was an earthquake weapon that was used on Turkey. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, and I don't know. Did you see that video from Dutch Sense? Dutch Sense?
No, I've not seen it now.
Well, he was watching the earthquake as it was happening. I might be able to get it up here, but what he found going on around the time of the earthquake was quite astounding. I'll see if I can get it up here now. And oh shit, yeah, and so basically he noticed some odd artifact going on in the clouds around the time of the earthquake. And this is loading here in the background, and I suppose I should probably share my screen as well. I was actually sharing a different way, while you were away.
No, you share your whatever way you want, mate. No, there's no sharing restrictions here. Nukes are a fraud. Maybe sky lasers are another big scare.
Yeah, no, I know that. It's just that when I'm on my own, I kind of do it a different way. You know, the way that you load, you load do the screen share like with the StreamYard software, and I usually do it with OBS when I'm here on my own, so it's just a different way of doing it. But just bear with me a second, though. Not slash, because I had a problem too with the audio before it came on.
You had sorry, what? Yeah, go on. Yeah. Turkey earthquake mystery spiral. Oh, yeah, I've seen these. See, all this stuff is just like mad, isn't it? If this is not on YouTube, I don't know if we should be showing it because they might not want it on. What is it?
No, well, it's only a short thing now, and it's from Dutch Sense. Now I'm gonna switch the audio over to so just be careful, so that you don't get an echo back at yourself.
The February 2023, and
you see that? Okay.
Flipping through Twitter, looking at different views of the Turkey earthquake, and I caught some cars driving around looking at the damage, but I noticed it was heavy rain and hail, as well as a lot of snow going on. And it prompted me to come over here and look at the Turkish radar to see, because, what the weather was, of course. And what we're looking at here are different Turkish radar stations put together into a composite feed, brought to us by AccuWeather, for instance. And maybe I should full screen this. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit more on the center of this. This is where the radar station, one of the radar stations in Turkey is. It's picking up the snowstorm there. But what I want to draw your eye to is what happens here at the center of the screen through the snowstorm. Now, to me, I'm just going to say it, that's a peculiar radar signature that we don't normally see on the radar. But what I want to also draw your eye to is that the counterclockwise rotating, you see how it's down there, you see what it's doing there. You see that, right? Now we got another station right at the eye of the storm. I'm going to zoom in on the eye of the storm and show you what's here. Do you see this town called Gaziantep? And up to the north, Elbistan? 2 7.8 earthquakes have struck here today in the last several hours, about 12 hours, 20 hours. 2 different large earthquakes, 7.5 to 7.8, about 9 hours apart. Those earthquakes struck right here at the center of where this giant low pressure system is rotating over Turkey. Prompting me, when I saw the weather there, I just wanted to see what was on radar. I didn't know I was going to be catching this live as I am now, which is prompting me to hit record and to show you guys what's showing on their radar. One of their radar stations, or 2, just wait for it, at least 1 or 2 are putting off a very peculiar radar signature. Now, radar is in microwave usually, so whatever we're seeing here coming up through the snowstorm is rotating out and emanating out in pulses from the radar station itself, showing up in the storm precipitation. There's clear open areas that are...
So, there you go. I'm going to pause it there because you seen that, did you?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, basically... that ties in. Now he got that on the day of the earthquake, and it was very, very unusual. And then for that was she Romanian? That Romanian politician, that lawmaker, to come out and start accusing certain Western governments of using geo weapons on Turkey. It's like, I normally wouldn't mention. I normally wouldn't even bring Dutch saints up, like, you know. But sometimes he does have some great info and stuff like that, like, and he just spot unusual things like this from time to time. But that's definitely a smoking gun harp effect there, in my opinion.
Yeah, if that's accurate, you've got to understand that it depends on how accurate it is, isn't it? Like I say, I've heard of Dutch sense. I can't remember seeing any of his stuff before, but yeah, very interesting stuff. Very interesting as well. It looked really spirally.
Yeah, and the fact that lawmaker came out and said what she said, like, was just really astounding, like, because that's not something that you generally see a lawmaker come out and say. Let's see if I can remember. See if I can find what her name was. Because did you know Turkey moved 3 meters towards the Arabian Peninsula? It actually moved a whole 3 meters during that whole quake. And plus, we had the Moldovan prime minister resigned as well too. So this lawmaker, does it give her name? Let's see, what's her name? Senator Diana Lovanovici Sosoaka, you know, and that was her name, Diana Ivanovici Sosoaka. So what she said here is, we have lived to witness the production of earthquakes on command, which is actually an attack on Turkey by the greatest nation of the world, who totally dislike being set up by the Recep Erdogan of Turkey, like, and she's making correlations to Turkey's reluctance to allow Sweden into NATO. Oh, for fuck's sake, give me a second. I have to let this stupid cunt of a cat out.
Go on then. Yeah. Well, Jimmy's off to let his fucking beard out. Old and official. I don't know what, but Denny says give him a shout out. So old and official. I don't know what your channel's about, but yeah.
Right.
Good luck anyway. I don't know. I have no idea what your channel's about, but I will check it out. I'll have a look. But yeah, the problem with the that Dutch sense bloke is he said guys in his fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a chess grandmaster I do follow as well too. He's the same. Hi guys. He comes on like, hi guys.
Of course he does. Okay. What were I talking about? What we're going to say? Oh yeah, what do you make of this? Speaking of Romania, what do you make of Tate, Andrew Tate? This situation that's going on with him.
It sounds like he's been targeted. To be honest, by all accounts, he sounds like he's decent enough. Like he's. I was initially sort of like concerned that because of the business that he was in, like but like. I was listening to Robert Barnes, who seems to know him quite well. He seems to think that he's an A-OK guy, maybe a little bit far out there, maybe. And of course, he's into the cam business and stuff like that, but that's usually concerning adults, So I haven't heard any updates. I think he's still in jail, as far as I know. Is that correct?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's still in jail. He's been in jail for 6 weeks, I think, now. But I saw a thing that, again, it's just one of these, a video that I watched, and somebody had made a point that somebody had predicted that he'd be in jail for 180 days. And I think he's on he's 6 weeks in, so...
Well, he'd be lucky because Romania is pretty strict. They can hold you for up to 2 years there without charge. We'll see.
Aren't they in Europe? So I'm sure there's a European Union directive, the human rights law. Why is that not being? Why is there nobody?
Human rights mean nothing, man. They mean nothing.
They don't do it. I mean, look at Assange.
Yeah.
But Assange is not an EU citizen, though, is it? Mind you, neither is Tate, I suppose, if he's British. Is he British?
Yeah, but Assange, that's different. He'd be what I would call an international criminal. And I know.
They've been.
I know he's kind of he's labeled as a journalist and this, but no, he's not, man. He's an asset of. He's probably an asset of Russia, but who knows? He's probably playing both sides as well too. So you wouldn't know whose toes he stepped on, But clearly, you could implicate him in interfering in American politics if you wanted to, with all the releases that were coming out about the Clintons and there's no way. He's working for somebody, and I would imagine it's Russia. That's my feeling on the guy, and I've known lots of people over the years, and they be sort of of the opinion that Assange is one of these cool hip dudes who's just a journalist, but they don't realize that fucking Assange started off his little adventure into espionage and subterfuge way back when he was a child, when he was 16 or maybe even a little bit earlier. He was into hacking. He was hacking schools, colleges. He was hacking the NASA and Department of Defense way back. He's been in court so many fucking times over the years for hacking and international hacking. Not just, he was involved with that dude called Pengo, who incidentally, if you go and you try to search out who Pengo is, you are going to have a very, very tough time finding information on him these days. There used to be a really good documentary that was done on Assange way back in the late 90s in Australia by a news team. A very, very good professional documentary highlighting all his escapades and stuff. And can you find that documentary online? It was online there just 2 years ago. You cannot find it anywhere online anymore. It's been totally scrubbed for whatever reason. You cannot find that documentary anymore, which shows you exactly what Assange was. A little fucking shit. That's what he was, man. A hacker. A fucking hacker. And you know what happens to hackers? They get co-opted and reeled in by usually like intelligence services and the like. So there's no way. I don't class him as a journalist at all, and he probably deserves to be where he is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it certainly seems to have got a colourful past. I'm just wondering what will do with Greta Thunberg when she gets older. Someone will lock her up and fight against the environment or something like that.
She better get her. She best get her tight little ass over to fucking Ohio and start jumping up and down about her climate changes.
Yeah, that's a bad one, isn't it? That.
Oh man, that's a disaster. That's like a nuclear bomb after going off there. And last I heard, Cloud was, I think it was Jimmy. Jimmy was saying from our chat there on Telegram that the Cloud was heading towards New York. It's like, oh shit. That is nasty, nasty shit. That stuff turns to hydrochloric acid when it burns and gets up into the clouds. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea. No, fucking hell.
Yeah, it turns into hydrochloric acid. It's like, holy shit. And
that's fucking bad shit, that, isn't it? I remember that at school, hydrochloric acid. Fucking hell. You don't want that pouring on your fucking head, do you? When it rains.
You do not. You do not. People were smelling odd things 15 miles away from the epicenter of where it went off. Like, and that probably expanded. God only knows. Like, and it's a disaster zone. Like, that's some of the richest farmland in the whole of America. The amount of reports that were coming in of animals dead, fish dead, frogs dead, pigs dead, pets dead, everywhere. It's just
which are animals, by the way.
Pardon?
Oh, you said animals dead, pigs dead, cows dead, fucking sheep, frogs, dead animals. Yeah, we got it. I saw some woman whose fucking chickens had all died. I mean, this is no fucking joke, is it? It's no joke that this is fucking like really fucking bad shit. And apparently, they were really recently. There were an episode of something, one of these things that's on Netflix that featured the same scenario.
Oh, White Noise. Was it White Noise?
That's the one, yeah.
I downloaded it the other night. I started watching it one of the mornings there, and I fell asleep. And I have to get back into it. But yeah, apparently it does highlight the. It's like a carbon copy of exactly what happened.
Fucking hell! What a world we're living in. Oh.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is there's not a word about it on the new. It was very, very hard to get any sort of decent reports about it. Like any
11 days ago it happened, weren't it? It was the 3rd of February when it happened.
I know, and I'm only starting to get like decent reports about it now. There were reports out there, like, but they were all behind paywalls, and like it's only in the last day or two that I'm starting to get reports from alternative sources about it now. So the fact that like it's not been covered at all, that should be like front and foremost on every news station in America, and it's by all accounts nobody is covering it. Like, it's like, holy shit, Never mind your SUVs, like that stuff is going to set that country back a long way. That I don't know how local it's going to be. That pollution zone. Um, we'll probably find out in time, like how bad it is, like But that's going to affect that whole area, like for years to come.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's fucking hell. It's outrageous.
Did you see
Fucking
the Did you
outrageous.
see the reporter? Did you see the reporter getting arrested?
Yes, I did. Yeah, so yeah, because he was trying to report on it, and he got
Yeah.
arrested. And now that another one's happened, and in Houston, and what happened today in Houston? Another same situation.
Two happened today. Two
Ooh.
happened. One in Texas as well, I think. Yeah, yeah.
You're at war, America. America's at war with itself.
You wonder, is it just a dilapidated infrastructure? You'd wonder.
Just, I don't know, but there's nothing to see that it's happening. It's just a coincidence. Third, they didn't report it on 3rd of February. Of course they didn't. I've got to think back. I was still on holiday then. I mean, that's a long time ago. That's
Yeah,
like,
but news only started breaking last Friday, really, about it. Like, it was last Friday. I usually get stories like fairly early, like but I think it was last Friday I just started getting first wind of it. I said, "What the fuck?" And then I didn't realize until today. I think it was Jimmy from the chat, like a Telegram. He said it happened on the 3rd of February. So of course I done what I normally do. I go fact check them just in case. Dead right. 3rd of February. I said, "Holy shit! How come I only heard about it on Friday?" Am I getting slow or?
we got some here from Spanish Chicken. Spanish Chicken. He says, "Any good news, you feckers?" Well, yeah, I've got some good news for you. I've got some good news. The state of Wyoming is phasing out the sale of electric vehicles by 2035.
I was just thinking there.
State they're phasing them out. They are phasing out. It's going to be, you won't be able to buy an electric vehicle in Wyoming after 2035. They're stopping selling them.
Yeah, there was a report came out there today too from the European Union that they were going to do something similar as well. So that's 2035. But I was just thinking there, Spanish came on asking us for good news. I was thinking to myself, that's rich coming from Dr. Doom himself.
He is Dr. Doom, isn't he? He is Doom.
Dr. Doom, yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Deutschland über alles, innit? What were we talking about? What were we talking about just then? I fucking lose my brains. Fucking melted,
We were chatting about electric vehicles, and we were
electric vehicles in Wyoming. Yeah, do buy them.
Yeah.
What's the most common cause of electric vehicles having to be rescued? When breaking down, when they have to be.
Yeah.
Most common cause for an electric vehicle when it breaks down, it has to be recovered.
Women drivers.
No. It's a serious question. Believe it or not, 2% of those cases are when people have run out of electricity. Most of the time, it's because they're very heavy and the tires tend to burst. And they don't carry a spare tire because of weight and that. So that's most.
Interesting.
See, I've learned things this week. I learned something. Are you back?
Flat batteries.
It's not flat batteries. No, it's only 2%. I have some good news. Don't listen to cunts. But you listen to me though, Ron. Fake media, we had miles behind you, lol. Stop all here. Dinny says, "Stop all wars, babe. We suffer, not them cunts." Yeah, of course it is. That's always war, isn't it? A rich cunt sending some poor cunts to fight each other. That's basically war. And then rich cunts say, "Well, if we keep these cunts fucking doing it, we can become more richer." And yeah, we can, yeah, but we don't have to kill each other. Like so many, just some of them. Let's not do any nuclear bombs. Well, yeah, because if we do nuclear bombs, then people will realise that nuclear bombs don't exist. Crazy. Did you see the test they did in Norway testing e-cars? 49 took part, only one passed. It's too cold, isn't it? Electric vehicles won't go. It's not fat batteries because people generally tend not to go very far in them, and they sort of like have a bit of a energy stress in it. They're stressing about if they're going to have enough electric to get to where they're going, and then they're going to sit for fucking 8 hours. Anybody who buys an electric car, man, you've got to be fucking something seriously nuts wrong with you. Gee,
Sean McGuire bought an electric car. Sean McGuire bought an electric car.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course he bought an electric car. Sean McGuire, Jesus Christ.
Do you know?
A bigger pansy they never was.
Do you know what his problem with the electric car was?
Electric.
He couldn't charge it. Fact. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know how the fuck it happened. Like, but it turned out he bought an electric car, and it was a car that he couldn't charge. So I don't know. Maybe he got it from America or somewhere like that, different power supply or something. I don't know.
What is wrong with him?
Yeah, he told me that himself. He told me that story himself.
And he's bragging about it and all. He's telling people.
I know. I tell you what, if I'd done that, like, I wouldn't tell a fucking soul. I said, burn the fucking thing out the back of the garden and forget all about it.
Any other stories you want to get in before we get to end? Because we're like coming up to like 9 minutes. So if there's you wanted to get in before we end.
Well, let's see. I'm not totally sure. Like we've covered quite a bit tonight, but yeah, I think we might just leave it fucking there. I was thinking about this Brazilian story, right? You do know what's going on in Brazil, basically. The new government there who's taken over, they've now mandated that all parents get their children treated with that 100% safe and effective thing in order to receive their
benefits,
social credit payment. Like, that's do you know what, that country is going right down the tubes. Like after the
you could say that about everywhere though, couldn't you?
Well, I think Brazil just seems to be just gone totally Lula. Isn't that his name there, Lula? That's the president's name. Like, I mean, they arrested all those people who attended the protest there on the 8th of January, and the first thing they done when they got them into the prison was made them all take the treatment. No excuses, and now it's been mandated for all the children. It's like, holy shit! Like, that's clearly an attack against the kids. Like, there's no way at this stage of the game that nobody, well, mind you, it's not, I can't say that nobody knows that what it is, like, because there's still people still having a fucking clue about it. Although I think people are copping on slowly, like, but clearly it's an attack against the kids. You can't call it anything else, like, so that's what's going on in Brazil, man. It's coming to a country near you maybe soon. I doubt it. I don't think it's going to come here to Europe, like, but I think people are wide to it, like, but so I don't know what the people in Brazil are going to do, whether they're going to take a stand against this. Who knows? They're going through a difficult time now at the moment. while all eyes are on Ukraine, and we know it's pretty bad in Ukraine, but like, we have to keep an eye on other places too. Like, I'm pretty shocked by what's going on there.
Well, we're also fucking caught up in his own silly fucking worlds, aren't we? And it didn't get fucking noticed. There's no, it's all fucking scripted, man. I'm telling you, it's all fucking script.
Could be, yeah, maybe you're right, and
so AI is making whatever appears in front of you to appear in front of you. I don't know. They've fucking done some Jedi mind trick on lotterers. Everyone's got, we're seeing all this stuff. I don't know. It's fucking crackers. I'd be in the Richard D. Hall category if I carried up. It's like a script. It's a cyclical and it's just sick. But they made it right. All I can say is if that was the plan and they wanted to implement that sort of thing that they're talking about in Brazil over here, then they made it right cock and balls are it. That's what they've done. They've made it right cock and balls are it. They've gone balls in rather than balls deep, and it's just balls up.
Yeah,
balls, man.
Yeah, I think they fucked up big time, and it's not that they fucked up. I think it was probably good. I think they probably thought it was going to be a bit more subtle than it actually turned out to be. That's why I think it's been a total failure for them. Because I don't believe that they honestly expected that it was going to be showing up on the radars so soon after taking it or after implementing it. And too many people were noticing too quickly that something wasn't right. I'll tell you what, it's bad. Even my uncle down the road turned around to me there last week, and he was just said, "There's something not right about that." I was trying to tell him a year and a half ago. I even delivered him some papers and stuff that probably put his head straight, but he passed no heed. But he's starting to cop on now himself, and he was saying, "I really regret taking that thing. Really regret it now." He's starting to notice the
Night, Paula.
Night, Paula. Yeah. He's starting to notice all the excess deaths. So if he's noticing, I'm sure he's not the only one.
Yes, well, it's a sad case of affairs. I mean, whatever side you're on, it's a fucking human cost, isn't it? We're all in that boat. Well, also on this fucking, I don't know. I am anyway. That's all I can vouch for is being our lass. She's definitely human. I am, and I've seen some other things about this. I don't know. Perhaps we're all living in Matrix. Perhaps we are living in a complete matrix. Right, I think we'll leave it there then, and we'll get uploaded automatically to Odyssey. So you can find us on there. Do a search for Raconteurs News, and also on Rumble as well. Find us if we get to 25. We'll be live streaming on there as well. But as for tonight, cheers, Jimmy. Anyway, for sticking around, jumping on, being first on and holding fort while I was sorting my son out.
Yeah, and thanks for coming back and saving them from that from that long Seymour Hersh article. It was quite lengthy. I don't know how they managed to sit through it, but I found it quite interesting. So, and I'm a selfish cunt, so I don't care if they found it interesting or not.
There you go. Anyway, I've put the link in for the after chat if you want to come along. Thanks to everyone for who's been in the chat and been chatting, and everybody who's not been chatting as well, who are listening in the shadows. We do appreciate you, and we hope you get something out of it, even if it's to drag you away from telly for a couple of hours. But me and Jimmy will be back on Friday, and until then, keep the blue side up.